What's happening, guys? Welcome back. This is the next vlog. If you watched the last one, you'd have seen we put a lot of work in over the space of one day, last Saturday. We got the other rear arch fully primered up. So it is fully blocked down, the shape is all sorted out, and it's been laid down in high build primer. Today's Monday. Wednesday is when we're planning to get a coat of paint on it, which is obviously another stage, getting it closer to being ready to have a mold pulled off of it. In the last vlog, I was working on the roof. As you can see, the roof is still strapped onto the car. To be honest, it may stay there. I may rip it off on Friday, because I think on Friday there's a few of us coming up here and it'll probably be in the way with what I'm trying to do. So back to what I'm going to be doing now for the next vlog, I suppose, maybe the next couple. I don't know how well it's going to pan out. We'll see. But as you guys should know, let's tilt that up. Right. As you guys should know, the car has suicide doors. Now, we did this outside the house. Everything needs checking. Since it's been in here, we have only been working from this point backwards. We have only been working on the tailgate, the bumper, the rear light conversion. We have not put any attention or effort into any other part of this car. Everything else is as it was when we were doing it outside in the elements. So then what I'm going to do, the door cards need to come off. All of the welding needs to be checked and addressed, and probably needs, additional welding to make sure it's strong enough. I don't know if you can see this, but right here, this is the door loom which I extended. So that is 25 wires that got extended to control the mirrors, the windows, etc. Now, it can't stay like this. We have to do something to make this retract into the chassis when the door opens and closes. So for now, let me just wedge that in there. Right, so like I said, this door, I don't know, 2 years ago, I suppose we done this. The latch, I know the latch over there is loose. I know it's not great, but let's see what happens. Right, the door closes. So that's a good sign. So the door, although, it's been moved around a bit, it's been jacked up continually, left side, right side, etc., etc. Nothing too dramatic has twisted or moved. So the door, it needs adjusting, because I can see, you guys probably can't, but I can see that has a lip to it right here. But I know the latch has movement, because the plate, which I'll show you, I'll take you in a bit closer and show you exactly what's going on. It needs work, basically. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the door card off. There's a metal plate inside. I don't know what else, I don't know what we're gonna see, but let me get it stripped down, and then we'll do a little bit more. I'll show you a bit more what's going on, because tonight I'm only here just to prepare and get ready for what's to come, basically. I'm a bit tired after we did like a good 14 hours on Saturday to get that arch done. Actually, I'll take you around. I'll do a little bit on the arch now, because it's all dry and looking good. So I'll give you a little pan around on the arch, and then we'll come back to the door.
1, 2, 1, 2. Don't stop. I'm on fire. 1, 2, 1, 2. I love you. No. 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't stop. I'm on fire. 1, 2, 1, 2. I love you.
Right, okay then, guys. So what we've got, this is the original loom, probably up to maybe about here. We added 6 foot of cable, because instead of coming out of this side, it has to come out of this side somehow. So obviously you've got your electric windows, your electric mirrors, your central locking, etc., etc. No idea what that bit does. So down here we have the lock and the latch release. Now, these have to be wired to a solenoid. So I believe we're going to do it with a button in the mirror. So what will happen is you'll push the button in the mirror, and it's just a very simple wired to like a pulling solenoid. So it just releases that, which will pop the door, and you'll pull the door open with your mirror. What we've got over there is we literally cut the latch out of the door with the surrounding metal and welded that into that side of the door, roughly at a good height, at a height where everything worked basically. So here, let's see if let's bring this in a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about. So what you can see here is all these welds here. It's a bit of patchwork basically, because this lump of steel here is structurally welded into this whole section. So there is strength. This block of steel bolts into this arm here, okay, which is the suicide door hinge, which in turn obviously is welded into the chassis at this side. Now, this block of steel has strengthening bars that pass up and down within this door to strengthen the whole thing up. So that way, although it has a bit of flex, it is not going anywhere. We then obviously had to patch it back together. It doesn't look too bad. You know, we took a bit of time. We've obviously cleaned up some of the welds. What we do have here is the original rubber trim. Now, I have to do something with that. We have to figure out how exactly that's going to work and keep the door sealed at the same time. Because let me see, because that is supposed to shut against this part. So we perhaps, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to figure that one out, but that is one of the issues that I have with the door. Now what you can see here, obviously this is just a solid metal plate, and the glass you can just see peeking up here. Now from memory, these 3 bolts here are the motor, so everything is pretty tight to this panel, so we don't have any room really to play behind this panel. So anything we do, other than I can possibly cut holes in it if I wanted to generate a little bit more space for any audio, but I'm not convinced that's the good way to go. So let's have a look at this side. So what do we have? So what you can see, this bit of metal here, which is, see this bit of welding is a lot worse than back there, but you can basically see that this bit here was cut out of the other side of the door, because this is the latching mechanism, which is bolted in with the original mounting points. Now, obviously none of this will ever be seen because it's behind the door card, but that is not an excuse for it to look terrible. So all this needs cleaning up, and I think we need to figure out, you know, plate this in. Maybe we'll just, I don't know, maybe we'll just plate it across, because we're not going to be running the OEM speakers, so that's not an issue. We don't need this hole. Again, you can see runners here for the glass. So yeah, so this needs some attention. We've got the bolts here for the original hinges. Obviously they need to go because they look a bit terrible. The rubber seal, again, this side is sound. It comes off from the top, works its way down. But yeah, so I think this door in particular, we just need to sort out this whole latch situation and figure out how we're going to get the loom to pull through the chassis of the car, because it cannot stay like this. And the biggest issue is I want it to retract in and out. And obviously the distance from here to here right now, that literally comes in, like, obviously this button here is pushed by the door. So if this is behind the door card and we want it coming out the edge of the skin, yeah, that's a good sort of 12 inches of retraction from this point to that point when this door closes. So that is something I'm going to have to think about. Right, okay guys, right, so the door's all stripped down. I've already pulled the loom out, the loom's now sat inside. What we've got right here, this one locks the door, and this one here releases the door latch. So one of the jobs I have to do, we have to get these affixed to the door and then attach a solenoid to the end of this one, so that when we activate the solenoid, the door will unlatch and pop open. We've got rubber seals running around the perimeter of the door. It seems fine at most places, apart from right here by the actual latch, and obviously over here where we've had to cut it to get it around the hinge. These are the sort of things that I'm going to be assessing and sorting out, you know, now. These are my next jobs basically for this door and the other one. Okay, so what you can see here, this is the OEM latch. This plastic casing here, this bit of metal was the OEM latch that we cut out of the chassis. So as you can see, there's going to be a slight issue with this rubber seal, which obviously pushes up against this bit of the door, but this bit of the door is missing. So I'm not sure how we're going to get over that, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. We might have to perhaps put a plate in, I don't know. This all needs welding back up, because at the end of the day, this is what is holding my door shut when we're at high speeds. So I would rather it was connected to, maybe from here to here, we'll put a plate which will incorporate up to this part, and then that'll be fully welded to the door. Like as I said, we need to attach a solenoid to the door opener. The loom is currently been removed. The loom is currently sat here. It's already been extended by 6 foot. We need to get it to go probably from about this point down here across into the chassis. Here seems to be my biggest area where I think I can get the loom to go in and go through and look nice. No matter what, you're going to have the loom exposed. There's nothing I can do about that. It has to pull across that area when the door's open. What I am going to try and do is develop a... I've been thinking about it. I think if the loom comes into the car, goes down and goes under the seat, once it's under the seat, I want to develop like a tube with a spring-loaded system. So as the door opens and creates this gap, it pulls the loom out with it. But when the door closes, I don't want the loom to just hang and get trapped. So I want it to be spring-loaded from under the seat, so that as the door closes, the spring physically pulls the loom back in and keeps it under the seat somehow. Not 100% sure how we're going to do this, but yeah, I've got an idea. So that's something I'm going to start work on. I've already ordered a couple of parts. So once I get them, I will get cracking on drilling this hole, drilling it into the door. These welds here, everything's not looking too bad. Again, considering this was all done outside the house. In here, could maybe do with being ground down a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but you know, we'll get all this ground down and looking a lot nicer. I'll probably get the door off tomorrow. So yeah, we'll get the door off and we'll get this welded and get this ground down first. Right, so like I said I wanted to do, I have added sheet steel here, okay, which is now fully welded in here and all down here and a bit around here. So this connects the original bit of metal from the latch into the whole door. So I feel a lot safer now because these 3 bolt holes, which are what my latch bolts to, is fully part of the door in one go. Here and here were the original studs, which have been removed, welded, as you can see. Bring the light over for you. So, welded up first. This was the hole where the loom came out. obviously I've just put some P40 fiberglass over the top, which needs rubbing down. The reason I mixed up some fiberglass was because this section here, which I spoke about earlier, where the rubber seal runs down here and it basically comes across the face. See, that hole there is one of the fixings for the rubber seal. So because I want to put a plate across here so that, you know, the rubber seal has something to sit against, I wanted to get this all prepped out in here first. So I'm going to rub all this down next so I can put this plate across, and hopefully in there, you know, we'll need minimal prep work later on down the line, because this whole face has to look good when I'm done, because this will be on show and on display. So that is what I'm up to for the next little while. So I'll crack on with that and come back once I've got something better to show you. So gave this all a little rub down. Still not finished, obviously. This still needs more work, but I've smoothed all of this area out around here because when this rubber seal's on, you see, there's a gap. We need to get a bit of light on that. There you go. Right, so with that rubber seal, there's a gap that would allow water to pass through. So where I've drawn these lines, this is where the rubber sits. This inner mark, I need to weld a small piece of metal across the face of this. So when we put the rubber on, we can stick it to that piece of metal, and then that should give us a full seal on this side of the door. Because, oh, we also had issues with the latch over on this side. I had to move it out. So the latch, it's the OEM latch, which is attached to a 15mm spacer. I've just tack welded it on. I will not be doing the finish welding on this. Someone like Kenny, who's a much better welder, will be welding this fully. So we now have, the latch has been moved, the door's all good. Let's see if we can get this to go. Nice finish here. What I think is more important is the mirror. The mirror has a nice finish, which is good. So the next stage, I'm going to get the solenoid working. I'm going to get the window up. We're going to make sure the window drops when it opens. And I'm going to weld that little piece of metal in.
Strong man, come on!
Yeah, I'm going to smash your ABS pump on the way out. Fucking hell. Don't worry about ABS.
Just keep that, well, this ain't even attached.
Take it all off, take all that off, Kenny. Smoking the lights, fucking hell.
That's having a fucking field day.
Honestly, this guy.
Right. They're over there. Dave just took the engine out of the 200. I've been over here.
It's the lights now.
You cannot see, right. So we now got two cables running out of the car. A slight issue with the solenoids. Hold on. Right, so basically the solenoid is connected, but it doesn't have enough juice to be able to pop the door. The door though works quite well. So let's go and see what we've. So what we basically have we've got a solenoid mounted to the door. All this does is one of these cables is going to the negative on the battery, the other one's going, I'm just tapping on the positive because we disconnected the earth cable off of the solenoid. When power goes through it, it just pulls, which is pulling the cable, which releases the latch. But we think we're going to have to go up in size because this one just doesn't have the minerals to open the door. I'm going to now do some prep work on the edge of the door, get all this nice and smoothed off. And I'll probably give it a coat of primer and some black and we'll see how that gets from there. Right, so for most of this vlog, obviously I've been working on the driver's door. You've seen how we've come far with it. I've done some welding, we've done some fiberglass on over the top to try and tidy it all up. We've got the solenoid in. The solenoid is not strong enough, so we'll have to go back to the drawing board on that one. You can see here in the background, the rear arch has now been painted. So what that means is we're now ready to flat and polish it, get it all nice and perfect, and then that way we can lay down the gel coat and start applying fiberglass so we can pull a mold off of this rear arch. Obviously the last vlog you've just seen was Kenny preparing, painting and sorting the arch out. So come back for the next vlog. Hopefully I'll have a bit more progress on that door, and if the materials have shown up, I'm going to start preparing to create a mold. So stick with us for that one and we'll see how it goes. See you next time.